In war, some battles are fought with fire, others are fought with silence. But the deadliest battle of all is the one the world refuses to see. Night hangs heavy over Eastern Europe, the kind of night that swallows sound and hope together. Across the frozen plains, a refinery burns, a quiet inferno staining the sky orange. To most of the world, it's just another distant explosion. Another headline. But deep inside Russia's heartland, that fire means something far more dangerous. Ukraine has reached farther than anyone thought possible. What began as a desperate defense has evolved into a cold, calculated strategy, a months-long campaign against the beating heart of Russia's war machine, its fuel. These Ukrainian strikes aren't always spectacular. They don't always level entire refineries or reduce pipelines to ash. Sometimes it's only a damaged compressor, a cracked tower, a scorched unit, small wounds, minor hits. But minor wounds bleed too. Every delay, every repair, every part delayed by sanctions puts another crack in Moscow's armor. And the numbers tell their own story. A sudden collapse in refining capacity, a system stretched thin, and a war machine forced to limp instead of march. Yet the world truly awakened when Ukraine struck deeper, much deeper, into Russia's own territory. A drone buzzing across nearly 2,000 kilometers, slipping past defenses, flying through the black wilderness of Siberia, until it found its target, a refinery in Tyumen, a place Russians believed to be untouchable. The blast was not just physical. It was psychological. A message carved into the cold Siberian air. Your distance will not save you. No matter how Ukraine pulled it off, long-range drones, modified engines, internal launches, covert staging, the effect was the same. Russia realized the war it started can now reach deep into its own belly. But war is never one-sided. Every fire in Russia is answered by a storm over Ukraine. As winter approaches, Moscow returns to its oldest and cruelest weapon, darkness. Missile after missile, drone after drone, a relentless assault aimed not at soldiers, but at civilians. At transformers, power stations, substations, heating plants. The fragile arteries that keep a modern country alive. This winter, Russia changed its pattern. It no longer strikes everywhere at once. It hunts oblast by oblast, crushing one region's network completely before moving to the next. A methodical kneecapping of an entire nation's ability to stay warm. And so, blackouts creep across Ukraine like a spreading shadow. Lights flicker, then die. Apartments go cold. Hospitals switch to emergency generators. Families gather in one room to share warmth. Children sleep fully clothed because the night air feels like a grave. Ukraine has survived 3 winters like this. But the fourth feels different. The strikes are more precise, more coordinated. Russia learns, adapts, perfects. To survive, Ukraine adapts too. In hidden locations across the country, engineers build something new, battery parks. Auxiliary power grids, silent systems meant to outsmart Russian missiles. Not heroic, not glamorous, just survival. And survival often looks like a dimly lit basement humming quietly, keeping a hospital alive through the night. Meanwhile, far from the front lines, in well-lit conference rooms of Washington and Brussels, another war is being fought, the war of diplomacy. Donald Trump's words shift like sand in a storm. One week he speaks of helping Ukraine with long-range Tomahawk missiles, a weapon that could change the calculus of the battlefield. The next week he talks with Putin, and suddenly the winds shift. Reports whisper about tension, about raised voices, about Zelensky being urged to take a deal that would carve Ukraine's land like a butcher slices meat. A deal no Ukrainian leader could accept. Putin demands Donbass, offers pieces of Kherson and Zaporizhia as if land were a poker chip. Zelensky rejects it instantly. Because for Ukraine, this war is not about land, it's about existence. But the consequences ripple. After that call, the promised tomahawks fade into uncertainty. Once again, Ukraine must fight with what it has, not what it hopes for. Europe watches all of this with growing alarm. Russian jets and drones violate European airspace more frequently. Probing, taunting, testing. Airports shut down temporarily. Communication systems flicker. Radar screens light up with unwelcome intruders. These aren't attacks, not yet. These are warnings. And Europe understands the message. If Ukraine falls, the next warnings might not be warnings at all. So European countries step up, but carefully. The Netherlands funds drone production inside Ukraine. Norway invests in electronic warfare. Canada sends money for interceptors. France delivers laser-guided anti-drone rockets. Britain sends thousands of multi-purpose missiles. These aren't symbolic gestures. These are attempts to help Ukraine build weapons inside its own borders, weapons that don't rely on slow logistics or political mood swings. Other countries contribute through the Pearl Initiative, buying American weapons for Ukraine when Ukraine cannot afford them. But Ukraine's defense minister offers a sobering truth. What Ukraine needs next year is not millions. It's $12 to $20 billion, a sum so vast that even allies hesitate. And yet, the most dramatic news comes from Sweden, a promise, a staggering one, that Ukraine could receive 100 to 150 JAA-39 Gripen E fighter jets, a jet built for cold runways, for damaged airfields, for quick maintenance, for wars exactly like this one. Equipped with Meteor missiles, capable of hunting Su-34s at bomb, Ukrainian trenches from afar, the Gripen is not just a fighter. It is a message. Ukraine's skies will not remain vulnerable forever. But jets take time. Training takes time. Delivery takes time. And time is a luxury Ukraine does not have. Winter deepens, and with it the war mutates. Across Ukraine, the hum of hidden batteries becomes a kind of heartbeat, row after row of silent power blocks, humming in secret to keep homes alive, to keep hope flickering. These battery parks, built in undisclosed locations, are not just engineering feats, they are defiance made concrete. Inside Ukraine, dozens of substations, power lines, and transformers have been targeted. According to a thematic energy infrastructure report, the combined missile and drone strikes have reintroduced rolling blackouts that last hours, plunging entire regions into darkness. These are not random hits. They are part of a relentless campaign to weaken civilian morale, to turn a winter into a weapon. In the cold, night bleeds into day. Families wake to messages. Your blackout begins in 2 hours. Generators sputter to life. The lights come back on or don't. Some hospitals rely entirely on emergency power. Others pray their batteries hold out. This infrastructure war is not just about bombs or tanks. It is about turning essential services into targets. The very systems that let people survive the cold, the wind, the war. On the other side, Moscow scrambles to respond. It claims that its refining capacity losses are high, but the real drop in output is surprisingly modest. Russia has reactivated idle refinery units to offset the damage, reducing the hit to only a 6% drop in refining volumes at the peak of attacks. Business Day analysts cite the satellite strike campaign took as much as 20% of capacity offline, but much of that damage is mitigated by reserve capacity. Some claims go higher. On paper, up to 38% of Russia's refinery capacity may have been threatened, according to upper limit calculations, but the real picture is more complex. The truth is, many plants were underutilized already. The damage is serious, but not absolute. Still, the symbolic power of the strikes is enormous. In Krasnodar, the Afipsky refinery was struck twice in 1 month, igniting fires, forcing shutdowns, and sowing chaos. Other refineries, Ryazan, Novokuybishevsk, have had units knocked out or slowed, underlining how precise these drone campaigns are. These aren't just military targets. They are the very furnaces that fuel a war. That's what makes them so lethal in a different way. Destroying a tank is one thing. Disabling a refinery is another. It pulls the plug on the economy, the war machine, and morale, all at once. Meanwhile, the pressure on Russia isn't just physical. Western sanctions bite deep. Oil giants like Rosneft and Lukoil have grown more isolated. Zelensky himself has spoken about the urgency of foreign financial support, not just for weapons, but for Ukraine's capacity to keep bleeding the Kremlin's resources. In Europe, leaders tread a delicate line. They want to help, but they are wary of escalation. That's why funding the Pearl Initiative, pooling money so that Ukraine can buy what it truly needs, has become a lifeline. These are not symbolic gestures. These are bets on Ukraine's survival. Yet even as the war rages, the threat of peace lingers, and with it, compromise. A specter of major negotiations, possible deals, and whispered concessions looms. But for many Ukrainians, any deal that chops up their land or sacrifices their future is not a deal at all. It is surrender. On the ground, in the towns battered by blackouts, bravery is quiet. Engineers risk strikes to repair substations. Families share food and blankets. Children learn to live in the dark but refuse to bow to it. As for the coming months, the stakes are clear. Will Ukraine's hidden battery networks hold? Will enough aid arrive in time? Will the gripping jets promised by allies arrive soon enough to change the balance? But regardless of what happens, one thing resonates. This war is not just fought with soldiers and artillery. It is fought in the winter wind, in the quiet hum of lithium-ion batteries, and in the flame of distant refineries. For simple historian, this is not just another chapter. This is a story of resistance, of adaptation, and of defiance when the world grows cold. And when the horizon glows orange with fire, know this: even in darkness, a new power is rising.